Okay, so today I'm going to start painting the inside of my little bird that I've started. This was a rather large rock. I painted it with a white and very, very pale green wash first, and then I painted the shape that I'm going to use for my outline with black matte paint. Over here I've got my colours already selected that I'm going to use for the project. Nice sort of peacocky colours. I always put a little dab of the paint colour on the top of the test pot so that I can see at a glance what I'm grabbing, because believe me, you'll start getting confused after a while. The white sticker is just the white paint. This one here is a metallic paint, so I'm going to start by putting a little dab of the metallic in the centre of my bird. So giving the pot a little bit of a shake. That's the consistency. I've had it for a while. It's getting a little gluggy now, but it's still perfectly serviceable. So I'm going to start in the centre with a rather large dot on my bird here. I think I'll do, I've got a size, I'm going to go for a number 8 in the middle, and I'm picking a nice sort of fat part of the bird's body, and I'm just going to put my dot right there like that. So we'll leave that for now. Clean off my dotting tool. Now I'm going to go for a nice bright green around that. So while that's drying off, put my lid back. I always put my lid back on straight away because I don't want my colours to dry out. I've had some of these for well over 6 months and they're still going strong. So that's my gold dot there. I'm going to get a nice bottle, sort of bright green, this colour here. And I'm going to start doing some little dots around that. That's my green. Getting some, maybe a number 3 will do for that one. So, can't find my number 3. It's hiding from me. Here it is. So again, I just dunk it in there, just very slightly. You don't need to put it in, you don't need to fill up the whole end of the thing. Just tap it lightly. A little bit of metallic stuck there, to sweep that off. So I always do 4 points first, top and bottom, because I can see quite easily. I'm pretty good with checking out, you know, the exact opposite sides of a circle. Some people may not be, it's just a knack that I've got. And so I do top and bottom, left and right. You'll notice I use this finger from this hand to steady this. People always say to me, oh, you must have a steady hand. I don't think it's any more steady than your average Joe, but I think that by using the other hand where possible, it just gives you a little bit more stability. If it's not quite big enough, I dot it a couple of times to spread it. I've got a little bit too much on this one, so I'm just going to touch it, not push it all the way down. If you've got too much on the end of here, you'll find that the dot will become a lot bigger. So I'm just very cautious about pushing down too hard, because you'll end up with a big spread. Although I think I read somewhere, there's no such thing as a mistake when you're doing this, just bigger dots. So yeah, if I was to make one accidentally too big, then I'll just go ahead and make the whole lot of those a little bit bigger, and then they'll all look the same. So you can see the shape is starting to develop now. I'm going to put a lighter green, wasabi sort of green outside of that. So I need to wipe off the end of my tool here. I'm going to go up a size too. So I'm going to take my number 4, which is on the other side of the same tool. There's my lovely wasabi. I love these colours. Most of the people that I sell my items to seem to go for, you know, pinks and blues and purples and that sort of thing. But not me. I'm a citrus girl. I like green. I like orange. I also like a whole lot of colours jumbled all in together. I'll even tolerate a little bit of pink that way. Otherwise, pink's not really one of my favourites. So you can see, in this case, every mandala is a little bit different. Sometimes I don't actually follow the inner dot out. Like this time you can see I'm actually putting the larger dot right next to the smaller dot. But sometimes, in fact a lot of times I don't do that. I actually put the dot, if I turn this around so I don't get any pink on, in this area and sort of fill that gap up a little bit. But I'm going to put a smaller white dot in there this time to fill that gap. So starting to take shape. You can see what's evolving there. I think I'll put my little white dot in. Now, I'd mentioned before when I did this background that I made a slightly whitewash. I've got 2 pots of white paint here. This is regular white. This one, I put a little bit of that in it to make it just a pale, pale, pale green. So it's only, you can see the white still around the edges here, but in the center just pale green. It's almost white. So I'm going to make a little tiny dot of white, or whitey green, just in here to fill that gap. The smaller your dots go, the more you're going to need that other hand to help steady what you're doing. Because, and depending on the day, some days I am a little bit shaky. I think today I'm quite shaky. Maybe I'm nervous because you guys are watching. So I'm just dotting that round there. I usually restock the paint on the end of the nib here every second dot, sometimes every dot depending on the thickness of the paint. Yeah, it just depends on what I'm doing, but usually it'll go 2, maybe 3 dots maximum, but by the time you get to the 3rd dot it's you know, starting to get a little bit thin, so your dot won't be as large. Although that's quite good if you're trying to make a pattern where you're going from bigger dot, smaller dot, smaller dot. So you can, I'll show you some of that later on when I'm going to do that kind of a pattern. So I'm underway. You can see what I've done there, and I'll keep increasing that out, and I'll come back to it when I've got a little bit further down the track so you can see how it's going. Thanks for watching.